community and our musicians. You're one of the true legends of improvised music and jazz. What I was really looking forward to was talking with you about saxophone technique. Is that okay?
Yeah, because you're doing a lot of things I'd like to know about too, you know,
Yeah.
over the years. And yeah.
So, what I hear in your playing is, at one side you play like extended techniques, and in which you could say you destabilize your sound. Maybe you see it different, but then please your comment. And at the other side it's rich fluidity. Can you understand what I mean by that?
Well, let's just say that I said earlier, you know, that like sometimes I like my solo concerts, but I'm not sounding like I'm playing saxophone. I like it more if I'm getting a more orchestral effect to it, you know, and you know, playing with the voice too. I'm trying to get it to talk, you know, to where I can actually do pronunciations that are reminiscent of someone talking, you know. I guess that's the way I would describe some of the things I'm working on.
And how would you see your own playing in, let's say, the historical line of great saxophone players like, okay, let's name just one, John Coltrane. How do you see your own playing in the after Coltrane? How do you connect it for yourself?
Yeah, well, Coltrane's a great musician, and I'm learning a lesson from him all the way back from when I played with him in Chicago, and then when he reached out to Toby Byron and got me to go to Morocco to play with the Sufi musicians, because this was one of Coltrane's dreams, and I'm just trying to do what Coltrane did. I mean, Coltrane continued to grow throughout, you know, his musical career, you know. Not only Coltrane, but Charlie Parker died very young. Who knows what Charlie Parker would have been doing by now if he was still alive, you know. And when the night I played with Coltrane, after the set was over, I was gonna leave, and he said, no. He said, come on back and play the next set. I like what you're doing, he said. And that was very encouraging words to me, you know, because I just couldn't imagine, you know, if I was walking down the street and somebody said, well, what is your name? And I would say it was John Coltrane.
And when was this? Around when was this?
It's in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course, yeah.
60s, 64. No, it's after Lester came, so probably 67 or so.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I'm playing a lot in the European scene, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday we played with the Park Ensemble, and we talked about yes or no rehearsing improvised music. And I know there are some very strong views on this. So there are great improvisers who say, well, no, you should not rehearse at all. It should be a momentous thing. You should encounter each other and then see what's coming out of it. That's real improvisation. What's your because you just mentioned.
I don't agree with that totally.
Yeah, you don't agree.
Yeah, I mean, but everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Of course.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
So go tell that to Bach, somebody,
yeah.
you know, who created his own formula of improvisation. If you look at it, it's really careful study there. You know, I'm just saying everybody's entitled to their own opinion. From my standpoint of view, I feel like I need to really be practicing in this period, you know, for the kinds of things that I'm hearing inside of my head and what I'm trying to get to, you know. I don't know how to do it without doing the work, you know.
Yeah, but maybe, if you allow me, it's also possible to have a lot of, let's say, contradictions in your head, and that you're really looking for the challenge of let me see what dangers there are. So, because the way you just talked about improvisation with a group is very much about looking for a common dynamic and a common situation where everybody can be heard, can be felt, is feeling well, can develop, can bring in ideas. And there's of course also the idea that you can bring in totally contradictional ideas. And then you can say, okay, there's another idea number 3, what are you going to do with that? But there's also the idea that when you break things down, you get something new. How do you see that? Because that's partly what I hear in your saxophone playing.
Well, yeah, I'm a big fan of breaking things down to try to learn what's under the surface of them, you know. And I think it gives me a better understanding about how to develop that problem, you know.
And how do you do that with your saxophone technique, breaking things down?
Through practicing, you know, through practicing.
And that means different fingerings, different articulation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to look at my S2 examples, pieces, they were generated from like a curved soprano that was made by Vito, with a bit of a different mechanism on it, you know, where I went through all the fingering and then made a fingering plan to go through, you know. So coupling that with real notes and some recording, you know, some of the sounds that were produced by all these strings and making pieces out of them, fingering, you know, and then going to the part of adding in a real note every now and then, or different trills and stuff like that to try to develop that idea even further. I'd like to go back now to my C melody because it has a similar mechanism that may produce some very interesting sounds also.
Yeah, and so you start with an instrument, you're working with the constraints and the possibilities, and then you're looking for new opportunities. That's a bit the way you work then. But so what about this whole idea of building blocks? You mentioned Charlie Parker. There is this idea about certain periods in music that there are building blocks, and when you connect them, you're developing your own work, your own improvisation. So I was wondering, do you also do that with your extended, let's call them for just for this moment, extended techniques? Do you have building blocks working from building?
Yes, of course.
And do you notate them?
Yeah, some of them are notated, but I mean, for right now, I think what I did, like when I was in California, I learned how to, because I was teaching, you know, a lot. I think I learned how to manage my time when I didn't have enough time to do some of the things that I wanted to do, to where I would take things down to like a small portion of things that I'm looking at, so that I could at least notice some progress, you know, as I was moving along. But I think that was good work, though, because now I can really carry that forward. So.
Yeah, and when is there a kind of transformation of your own personal playing into the orchestra, to the ensemble? Because when you say, okay, I'm looking under the surface of things, so are you also working on looking under the surface of an ensemble. And how would you describe it when you rehearse that?
Oh, yeah, I guess I'm sort of like doing that. I mean, with this project with the improvisation and that, you know, and doing the pieces for the different orchestra settings and so on.
Yeah, and so do you often say no to an orchestra? So,
Say no to an orchestra.
This is
about-
the-
What's the question from the orchestra?
well, you,
The question am I saying no to? That's what I'd like to know.
well, you say no to what you hear. You say, I don't like this.
Yeah, I do say that. I mean, I try to explain the music.